Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and today we'll be watching another video from Upper Echelon. This is the Tarkov situation, Maximum Greed. I know a little bit about what's going on with Tarkov, but not a lot, so this will be a very interesting video, at least for me anyway. Not sure about the rest of you, but yeah, let's take a look at it.
All right, today is a very unfortunate situation, honestly, that didn't need to happen at all, but hopefully it can be remedied because Battlestate Games, the makers of Escape from Tarkov, which is the dominant extraction shooter on the market right now for the time being, have decided to go completely mask off with their greed in a way that has the community up in arms and could possibly end up in some sort of legal battle. Maybe. Because the stuff that they're pulling right now is really egregious. Short background here on my own
Can't be worse than Ark, can it?
personal history with Tarkov, so people know exactly what position I'm speaking from. I played it way back in the day when it first came out, and I sucked. Dropped it almost right away, stopped caring completely, and then later, the most recent wipe actually, I started back in with a couple of friends. The gameplay you see in the background is theirs, not mine. They've been playing a lot longer than me and have way more exciting clips to offer, which led me to play quite a bit more this time, sparking a pretty high amount of enthusiasm for the game, which I'm intending to play extensively next wipe with them again. I'm no expert, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I certainly...
So is Tarkov kind of like a cross between like Division and Rust to a degree? I know the situation with Tarkov, but never played the game, so that's the thing.
do care for the game, and one of the ways that I showed that appreciation was by purchasing what was then called the Edge of Darkness edition, which came with a pretty hefty set of bonus items. If we look here at an archived version of the webpage, we can see that there's a number of different version types, but being that I was playing with friends and taking the game kind of seriously, I went for the cream of the crop, the limited edition package, which cost $150.
Jeez.
To be clear, I don't regret that purchase. Well, I didn't regret that purchase at all when actively using it. But now I have to wonder what exactly the point of supporting them was, if they're willing to disrespect their community this badly and lower themselves with what can really only be described as excessive levels of greed. For anyone who doesn't know, I'll give you a really quick rundown here. Escape from Tarkov is pay to win. If you buy the better versions of the game, you get more gear at the start of the wipe, and that gear translates to a very tangible in-game advantage. I know those words are like nails on a chalkboard to people. Pay to win is...
Yeah, I mean, if you get stuff... So... If you get stuff at the beginning of every wipe that no one else does, and you're paying like, say, a $300 package, looks like their max was $150 at the time. My guess is it's probably $250 now or even higher, because I'm guessing that's what they're doing now. But if it resets every single wipe that you get that advantage, yeah, it's a huge problem because you're just going to dominate the entire world for the most part.
Universally derided as bad. But the thing about Tarkov is that being a full loot extraction shooter with realistic gunplay makes it relatively easy to get past the starting loadouts, and the real defining factors in play here are game knowledge and skill. That being said, and I'm trying to be charitable here, the $150 version absolutely has things that make the gameplay easier, or let you extract more gear safely, or
at least a
store
lot
more
quicker
things in your stash, etc. Meaning that while I absolutely did support this game because I enjoy it, the package that they were offering had gameplay implications that a lot of people take very seriously. Let's take a look at what those items are precisely, because it matters quite a bit for what comes next. On an archived version of their website, we can see the following. Free access to Escape from Tarkov Arena, which is a companion game with a more Call of Duty-style deathmatch to it. It's honestly not that good in my opinion. That's a big one, though, because it is kind of like a standalone game.
Okay, so this is big for a lot of people. Guaranteed instant access to closed beta. Most people probably don't care. Digital copy preload.
Guaranteed access, instant access to closed beta. Digital copy preload. Huge stash size.
Yeah, that's a big thing. This shouldn't be a thing. I understand why it's in there, but it really shouldn't be a thing, because that's a massive advantage over just a free-to-play kind of average gamer.
Which isn't even that big, to be honest. Additional equipment and resources, that's pretty big. Initial standing with traders, unique ID, and then, importantly, free access to all subsequent DLCs, as well as, listed on a completely different support page, the unique 3x3 secure container. For anyone who doesn't play very much or just doesn't know, that's a lot of stuff that dramatically impacts your overall experience. However, that was the Edge of Darkness package, which is, for all of us lowly stupid.
So the question is it all DLCs that are linked to the Edge of Darkness? So, for instance, a lot of games will do they're like subscription, like free to play kind of games that basically they'll give you all the expansions and DLCs within a certain set like update. So, for instance, Edge of Darkness could be considered the set update, and then they'll give you access to all the DLCs that are going to come out within that development period. As soon as a new package comes out at another name, another level, they consider that a brand new DLC package set. So you'd have to buy the next DLC set. I think the wording is what kind of screwed them up, which is why the webpage has archives now. So yeah, I can see where a lot of people would be really mad at that because they're like, well, I spent $150 and you said you'd give me all the DLCs and season passes for free forever. Well, that's unrealistic. No company's going to be dumb enough to do that.
Because now we have the Unheard edition, which is pretty disrespectful. I'm not going to lie. This is the Unheard edition right here on the screen. It's got
looks almost the same
trailer where they announce things and puff it up and hype everybody.
That's a little bit bigger. Not sure what those are. I'm sure he'll explain it in a second. Oh, okay. There's definitely a lot of nice little upgrades here, but let's see what the price is.
I'll just read the important parts off quickly. Access to PvE co-op mode with persistent progression, meaning progression that will not reset between wipes, which is fantastic, and people have been hoping for something like that.
That definitely makes sense for PvE stuff.
A long time. A unique melee weapon, bigger stash, free access to all DLCs, which is odd because I thought the Edge of Darkness $150 edition came with that, unless we're somehow in a new season, apparently. And a few more things on top. Seems pretty straightforward, right? A lot of things.
So yeah, that's the thing. This is probably a new season, or they're going to call it a new season. This free access to all subsequent DLCs, a lot of people get mad at because they don't understand it's only for a single season. My guess is every time they release something like this, it's going to be a new season. Even if it's not actually a new season in game, they're just going to call it that.
But
they might extend it.
Wait a second. The price tag? $250. That is wildly overpriced, no matter what you think of their company.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely high, but people put so much money into free-to-play phone games. People will easily drop $1,000 on Diablo with no questions, and that's the weird mobile Diablo game. Someone spent like $100,000 on it, but $250 seems high, especially from like what a lot of people are used to from like console type games, but they're probably going at this as a kind of like from a mobile games aspect, because a lot of the packages you buy in games like Lords Mobile and whatnot are easily $200, no problem. $150, they're on sale for $229, that kind of a thing. So, and people were like, yeah, sure, I'll pay for that. So, is it disrespectful? Maybe. You don't have to buy it. You just don't have to buy it. If you don't want every little subsequent upgrade, you don't have to buy it. It is pay to win to a degree, absolutely. But that's not what the company cares about. The company has one goal in mind: make money, and if possible, keep the people playing the game. They don't necessarily care as much about the reviewers, because maybe 10% of the actual people playing the game actually pay attention to the reviewers.
Even the original $150 version was high, like very high. But hey, I certainly got my money's worth, so I'm not complaining on that front. However, $250 is completely egregious to a point where, on principle, I simply cannot buy that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even so, that's the least of their problems, because if all they had done was release an overpriced pay-to-win super bundle, people wouldn't even be half as angry as they are right now. See, 2 months ago, the CEO of Battlestate Games, the development company behind Escape from Tarkov, posted on Reddit pointedly advertising that an upcoming patch would have the ability to play offline co-op, and this is the best part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a different problem. That means they're locking this offline play behind a $250 package. That's a different issue. You shouldn't be locking gameplay modes behind packages. You should be locking just stuff behind packages like gear and things like that. Never lock a gameplay mode behind a $250 wall.
For Edge of Darkness owners, the CEO was on social media saying, hey guys, we're going to release this super cool thing for all you special customers who bought $150 worth of our product. And then 2 months later, they released that super cool thing behind a $250 paywall.
Yep.
Dude, what were they thinking with this? But wait, like,
Did they have an upgrade package like $99 or $89 for people who already bought a Edge of Darkness? I mean, a lot of people would probably buy it that way, but no, if you're going to promise something on a previous version of it and then you release it on a new version of it, that's messed up. But I don't mind the giant bundles, all right? I do mind when they lock game modes behind those bundles, because then it makes it so it's impossible to play and grind your way up through for stuff versus just unlikely.
Like an infomercial, there's more, because not only did they take this thing that was supposed to be given out to the existing player base who had purchased a particular edition, and presto changeo, no, you don't get that anymore, but the $250 super version doesn't give access to the arena mode. To be completely honest, I don't think a lot of people should give a shit about that, because arena is...
Yeah, but you shouldn't be locking any game modes out of or at least not in bundle packs. Maybe make them standalone DLCs for $9 each or something, $9.99. A bunch of people will be like, oh yeah, that's fine then. But you don't lock entire game modes behind insane packs. No wonder there's a whole backlash against this insane thing. They're gonna. I hope they walk it back.
Isn't nearly as popular as an offline mode, not even close. But it highlights how chopped up and parceled out the game is by a dev company that is completely succumbing to their inner voice of greed. Here's where I kinda lost it and decided I can't possibly support a game that does this. Remember that pesky little item from the Edge of Darkness edition, the unique secure container? Yeah. Battlestate Games, in real time today, went and stripped the word unique off of the website, as well as, get this, altering a segment of text that used to read, quote, free access to all subsequent DLC, Season Pass, such as Escape from Tarkov Arena, and now just says, free access to all subsequent DLC, Season Pass, end quote. I guess they just decided to go back on their word? Figured they would...
I mean, so here's the thing, and this is where a lot of gamers kind of mess up. Terms of service for games specifically can be changed at any time, regardless of whether or not you want it or not. That's written in the majority of their terms and services. They have the right to change it at any time. Most of them don't, but a lot of the new online type games like this will, and they're going to take advantage of that. And no one reads those things, but yeah, they generally have the right to change it, because they're like, well, the scope of the project changed, so we're gonna change what we think about the updates. We want to make more money from this. We have want to make a living, and we're hiring more people, etc. Or I need this. The CEO is like, I need another yacht for my house, for my second house. And, that's just what we're going to do. And, yeah, it'll mess up a lot of the player base, but it's only going to really take advantage of people who just won't pay it. So people who won't pay it, this isn't going to really affect them. But people who will pay it regardless, they're going to be annoyed at it and moan about it, but they're still going to pay for it if they really like the game. I mean, I bought the Borderlands Ultra whatever edition, and that was like $200 for the a box of cardboard effectively, and I'm not even gonna get started on the Fallout Edition one with the knapsack thing that I bought. But the reality is there are plenty of people who make enough money to where it's just a non-issue. But yeah, I can see why he's really pissed off at them changing the wording around. But I mean, it's just a reality on how it works.
Hide the evidence or protect themselves from a potential lawsuit? I honestly don't know. It doesn't
make
any sense. The changes happened on April 25th, which is precisely when a particular large streamer, I think, was apparently calling them out for that bit of language, which would then mean that someone from the company watched a stream on Twitch, saw someone criticize them for being...
If you don't think that companies watch streamers and gamers and reviewers, you're delusional. Ev- Obviously, they have people watching the biggest channels for reviews. That's a given. That would obvious, and they're gonna go and they're going to adjust stuff in real time to fix it on their end. They're not going to necessarily address their gamers and the players. They're gonna go fix the wording on their sites to make it less likely that they can actually be sued, because then they'll be like, well, we actively took a role in fixing it. So that's kind of where a lot of reviewers are like gonna fall flat. Excuse me. Because they're going to review it and they're going to say this game is now horrible, this game is terrible, and then they're going to go cover themselves on from a legal standpoint by fixing the language, and then they'll be like, well, we adjusted it because we thought it needed to be clear, and that's it.
greedy and tone deaf on this new $250 bundle.
It is tone deaf
And
though
then
to lock that
deleted the
game
word
mode.
unique as well as any reference to the arena mode so that they would look better? Stop people from noticing?
Yeah, that's all that they
They
care
already
about.
noticed, bro. What is the logic here? As if to solidify an atmosphere of we have no idea what we're doing right now.
Okay, let's take a look real quick though. This has 110,000 views. A lot, up to 5 of them could be duplicates from the same viewers. By the way, that's kind of how view counts work. So, but let's say at least 100,000 of them are actual viewers. A lot of people don't play the game; they just love upper echelon stuff. So you're probably looking at maybe half of that might actually play Tarkov, maybe less. And then same for the other big channels. Maybe I would say 1/20th of their user base probably will watch videos like this. The rest are not going to pay attention or care. They just want to play a game. They want to have fun. That's it. The majority of people will only go online to look at reviews and things like that. And they're not even looking for reviews. They're usually looking for new strategies for like builds and things. But I mean, whenever I bought games and things, I never actually looked at reviews. It's like watching movies, you know? If you look at a review from a critic, you're getting their opinion of it, which is good in some ways, but, you might love it. Example, one of the worst movies, apparently, according to critics, is the Speed Racer movie. Everyone hates that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm a terrible person, apparently. But... and I'm talking about the new remake of Speed Racer, that really weird CGI one. Not the old ones, but that's the problem with reviews, right? So they're very unique to each person, but a lot of people just completely override stuff based off of random critic reviews
Now,
versus
when the
actually
intern is
playing
running
it for
the social
themselves to
media,
see if they like
Battlestate
it.
Games went on Twitter during this controversy to directly call out one of their competitors who was attempting to gain market share from Tarkov during all the backlash, which might seem like a good idea if you're 17 years old and never discovered how social media actually works, but really all they're doing is broadcasting a separate place for their own customers to go after they decided that outright lying to everyone was a super good idea. Meanwhile,
How many people would actually switch over though? Maybe 1%.
there's a massive level of excitement building right now for another extraction shooter called Gray Zone, meaning that
I
not
heard
only
of
did
Gray
they
Zone.
choose
Yeah,
greed
that one
over
looked
community
interesting.
sentiment, just point blank, with a $250 bundle that never should have existed in the first place.
This might be somewhat of an exit strategy. They might know that their game is starting to die out in the numbers, and they don't necessarily have any new ideas on what to do, especially with the new games coming out. And they may have a forewarning of what's going to happen when people jump ship and go to the new game, and they're just trying to make as much money as possible before they work on something new.
They also did it right before their own community has a heavyweight viable alternative to them, meaning what exactly? Are they scared about the future of the product and monetizing as heavily as possible before
Probably.
that happens? Are they actually tone deaf enough to where this made sense to someone internally and they thought, yeah, let's lie to everybody? Or is it like some twisted comedy of errors where no one actually knew the full story and the left hand couldn't see what the right hand was doing? Like, they had no idea what was happening, which is how they ended up with this.
Definitely, it's going to be greed. There's definitely greed in here. I'm not sure it's necessarily lying by omission, perhaps. This isn't new. this happens all the time in gaming. This happens all the time in a lot. This happens in regular, company infrastructure when they're redesigning new operating systems and things. They promise something and then they go back on it and then they change it when they realize it costs more money or they want to make more money from a certain aspect of it. Even like POS systems that are built into like pizza restaurants. They adjust and shift their focus all the time, remove and add features, promise features with basically an asterisk on the end of it saying that they have the right to change it at any point. That's written into a lot of their TOSs. So I think it's a lot of people just don't understand how a lot of these things work, at least from a TOS standpoint. People would love to see black and white. They said they were going to do this. They're going to do this. But that's rarely ever the case in anything.
CEO claiming one thing on social media right before they release one of the most overpriced DLCs in history, which completely contradicts him. Their Discord server is in open rebellion, flooding the chat rooms with copy-pasted criticism of the company's decision-making process. Their Reddit mods are, quote, just as livid about the situation as you are, end quote, and have now suspended some of the subreddit's own rules so that people can flood it with criticism, right? They're getting rid of rules to make it so that you can spam the subreddit more with criticism of BS.
Question: how long do you think this will last? Will this be a 1 week thing, a 2 week thing? Will people just forget about it and buy the $250 package anyway? I think the thing where they really screwed up though is going to be locking game modes behind paywalls. And like excessive paywalls, because if you could play this game with a $10 paywall, people would play it, and then they would just use the $250 paywall of stuff for cosmetics. The thing that paywall should really be behind, But I think that's where they're really screwed up is just the game modes. If they didn't have the game modes, this wouldn't be as big of a thing. It'd be a little footnote probably, but it wouldn't be this crazy huge nightmare that's probably making this company maybe rethink a few things. If they fix that one aspect, I think they can probably come out better.
Battlestate games. Usually when these type of situations happen, there's like a diehard holdout coalition of superfans who try and fight back on behalf of the company against every single thing that the haters say.
Note, I am not a super fan of this company. I'm just, telling you the reality of how companies work in general, okay?
But Battlestate Games has no one. I don't think I've seen a single person, actually, defending them on this. Like, not a single one. Which is about as rare as a total solar eclipse or something.
Oh, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, aren't I?
Unbelievably bad to make it so that even your own Reddit mods turn against you. Oh, remember that unique melee weapon? Yeah, it's a knife, and apparently it's just a stock asset from the Unreal store.
Ooh.
Which is fine. In the grand scheme of things, that's a really small criticism to have here. But it speaks to the fact...
That's actually, I think, a bigger criticism, because that's not a unique thing. You can just buy it, from the Unreal store and just put it into a game. If you want a unique item, you make it so no one can copy it anywhere in any game.
That their community sentiment has been completely destroyed on a scale that you don't often see in video games. You get these Black Swan events sometimes, Anthem, Fallout 76, etc. But by and large, when talking...
Yeah, the one that really did a number on things was the day before. Man, that was an interesting story to follow. I wish I was on YouTube at that point. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. This is definitely a greed scenario thing. And I'm definitely not defending the way the company did it, but I don't know. I think it's a little more nuanced than what he's actually saying in a lot of ways.
About an established game, at least, you typically don't see this level of backlash. Regardless, I hopped over to my studio tonight to talk about all this because, oddly enough, Tarkov has been one of the games I'm most looking forward to. The prospect of playing another wipe with my group of friends, especially now that I know the game quite a bit better, is that good old-fashioned excitement that video games sometimes offer on rare occasion. But this whole thing left a really sour taste in my mouth because... what? Now I have to upgrade the edition that you told me would have these cool features, and it's a $250 edition that you decided to... whatever, man. They blatantly lie.
Guess what? He's probably going to buy it. One, his channel makes enough money, so it's probably not going to be any major expense. But he's probably still going to buy it because he wants probably to do the PvE stuff. He might not. He might not do it for just the principle of the thing, and then just switch to another extraction shooter, and that's totally fine too. But the reality is, a lot of people are going to complain about it, but they're going to go buy it anyway. I mean, that's just what they do. People do it all the time. There's always boycotts against games and upgrades and additions and things like that every single time. And yet we hear like a week or two later from the actual company, wow, we had a record number of sales. You guys are amazing. And then people are like, what happened? I thought we were going to boycott it.
How does that seem fair? Anyway, Tarkov just lit their community on fire. I have no idea if they will ever even acknowledge that, because their MO is typically radio silence on stuff like this as much as possible. But
that's probably the best MO. Radio silence is generally the best when you have an entire, because it dies down and people start to forget about it in most cases. If you start making a bunch of crazy random like posts and nonsense, then you have what happens with like the day before when they completely lied about a bunch of random nonsense and kept lying and kept trying to prove that they weren't fake and garbage, but they kept ruining it. Whereas if they had just been radio silent for the most part and just kept posting stuff and not replying to anyone, the backlash probably would have been so much lower, and they could have probably survived that first 2 months.
We'll see. Remains to be seen. Yeah, not sure. If you like the content and you want to support the channel, there are links down below in the description. There's a massive discount deal on a VPN for anyone who wants one. Check that.
So I think overall, the company's definitely being greedy. I think they're trying to cut their losses with the release of the new extraction shooters that are coming out, that they probably forewarned have known in advance is probably way better than their game. And they're like, well, let's make a last-ditch effort to squeeze a little extra money out of everyone. I think they would do a really good job to put their game modes that they locked behind massive paywalls as standalone DLCs for $10. And that would probably solve the majority of the issues, because the rest of it, you don't need to play the game. The only thing that really matters is the DLCs to a lot of people, and especially the PvE co-op with progression. That's a huge, huge thing for most people. And locking that behind a paywall is stupid beyond belief, especially one that is, man, $250. What could that buy? That's like 3 McDonald's meals now. Yeah, I mean, that's where I think the biggest issue is. And this is coming from someone who doesn't play Tarkov. But I do understand a lot of how company pay structure works. So that's a little bit different, whereas this is coming from a gamer, a YouTuber, etc. Either way, it's interesting to see multiple aspects of it. And no, I'm not defending Tarkov in any way. I'm just letting you guys know kind of how companies like this do work. So anyway, have a good day, everyone.